Motivation Monday. Every Monday we bring you inspiring stories of people who have either overcome something amazing or people who are doing something to bring about change in the community, or somebody who has a story that can inspire you to be a better person. Today it's all about second chances. We've got an amazing lady joining us in the studio today via Zoom. Wajiro Derito, how are you doing?
Hi, Jules.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. Tumeamua tukuamshe mapema sana, leo ni holiday.
No, it's really fine. I'm usually up by now.
Uh-huh. Great.
Yeah, so, yes.
Your story is just one of those stories I had, and I said, what? We need to hang out with her and hear it from her own mouth. So take us back to where this story begins, because your story is a story of second chances. Your story is a story of growth. It's just amazing. Where do we begin?
So let me first of all introduce you, tell you who I am. I'm Wanjiru Derito. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. And I'm a boss. I'm a marketer by profession.
Okay.
Yeah, so Wanjiru is a young lady who has grown up in a very functional family. I grew up in love. My parents, they really loved us.
Okay.
They showed us the love they have for us. They always voiced it. So I grew up in a pretty functional, loving family in Utawala. That's where I've been brought up. So my story quite begins after clearing Form 4. I'm a very bright girl. So I scored highly, got direct entry into campus. So while in campus, I always wanted to be a mom since, I really desired to be a mom. I wanted to get married early. So in between my campus, when I was in my third year in campus, I met a young man, I fell in love, and we got married. So that's where my story kind of changes.
Okay. You got married after campus or while still in campus?
While in school.
Really? What did your parents think about that?
Of course, my parents tried to take me out of it. I lost my dad a few years before joining campus. But my mom and one of my uncles was they tried to talk me out of it.
Yeah.
But this is a decision I had made.
Okay.
It is something I always wanted. I always pictured myself getting married before 24. But I didn't know what it really meant to be married. But we all have this picture in our heads as young ladies, playing kalongo when you're small and you're thinking, wow, I'm going to be an amazing mom, I love babies. So yeah, I got married while in campus.
What was the young man doing? Was he employed at the time, or was he also in campus?
Yeah, we were both very young, but at least he had already started working.
Okay.
He is slightly older.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did his parents say about him getting married to a lady who's still in campus?
Yeah, both our parents had their concerns, especially with school, with my schooling.
Yeah.
And I remember my parents saying, you need to make sure my girl completes school, because it was either they support, or when a young woman is in love, you really do not advice really is not well received.
Yes.
So it's either they supported me through the marriage, or I would have eloped, which wouldn't have been better. So they just supported us, and one thing we were told is to make sure that I actually go through school and finish. So that was the condition for everything.
Okay. What did your close friends, especially in campus, think about your decision to get married before you finish your studies?
Most of them thought it's outrageous.
Yes.
Who does that? And of course, most of my friends who know me as this intelligent lady were like, "Oh my God, you're literally putting everything aside for taking this path that is less traveled, if I may put it that way."
Yeah.
And I did lose a lot of friends, to be honest. Yeah, because once you're now married, you're in a family setup, it's quite different from when you're in school. And pretty much along the way, your friends are going to internship, they're graduating,
Yeah.
you're there with your baby. So, you know, even the common ground that you really had for interaction, and then the time, because, you know, now you can't just leave the house and you're out with your friends as often as you want, maybe haphazardly, like before when you're just you alone as, you know, just being a single lady, you literally have some bit of kind of, let me call it freedom in some way. Like you can always hang out with your friends, but now I have a new responsibility. I have a family, I have a home. So that took me further away from my friends a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
But the sound that I still keep
Let me
contact.
take you back to your wedding day.
Yes.
How was your wedding day? How did you feel? How was the atmosphere?
Okay, we did a civil wedding. Our wedding was a civil one.
Yes.
We didn't have the white wedding.
Okay.
But to be honest, I was okay with it because this is something I had really wanted. And I think that was one of the highs of my life, because I felt like I mean, I'm approaching my dreams
Yes.
in some way.
Yes.
Now I'm married, I'm in school, and I thought, you know, I will be focused in school, and I'm going to show people that I can actually do this, that you can actually pursue and finish school and you're still a wife, you know? Yeah.
You know, I usually tell people,
Yes.
especially young people, I tell them that love is blind, but marriage heals you and you begin to see.
Yes.
So I'm just
Yes.
wondering for you, because this is something you so desired, you know,
Yes.
and you pursued it. Once
Yes.
it was done,
Yeah.
did you get what you expected, or did some things now look
No.
like, is this what I was signing up for?
Okay, marriage in itself has a way of just exposing so many things about yourself and about the other person.
Yeah.
And nobody really prepares you for what to expect in marriage. And then for me, I conceived within the very first few months.
Wow.
Within the first few months, I already was pregnant. And then here comes the baby. I now cannot keep up with school and the baby, you know. So the expectation management phase, if I may put it that way, I really had very high expectations, both for myself, for my husband, and also for my baby, because nobody prepares you for motherhood.
Yes.
Like it just comes, and babies are different. So I had my firstborn, and my baby was one of those babies that won't just sleep. So I was up most of the times throughout the night, and then now this is where the friction begins. So I look at myself and feel like, oh my God, now my intelligence part is kind of, I'm no longer as intelligent because I'm not in school anymore.
Okay. Oh, you had to
Scared
drop out of
of-
campus.
Yes.
Okay.
I put it on hold. I had to put it on hold. Okay, that is what I told myself.
Yeah.
Because I started focusing everything, all my energy, everything. I put it on my children, you know. And I remember at some point my husband was not okay with that, because I have a very supportive husband, and he would try and encourage me to, at least, you need to go to school, you need to sit for exams, you know. And at some point, there's some exams that I used to do, and he would take me to school, you know, hold the baby for me, I finish my paper, and then go get the baby, breastfeed, and then go in for the other paper.
Wow.
But it got to a point where I felt like I'm exhausted, I can't do this anymore. And then I now transitioned to virtual school. You know, now being in virtual school, it means you just get the resources, study for yourself, and then go sit for exams. So it came to a point where I don't have time to study, literally. I'm always busy with the baby. So I feel like I'm not ready for exams anymore. So it got to a point where I decided now totally I will not bother myself with school now.
Okay.
Yeah, which did not sit well with my husband. And I remember he used to he used to voice it quite a lot. You're not the same person I got married to.
Mm-hmm.
You are such a driven person who was very ready to go for her dreams, and now here you are settling. And now, so I got to a point where I need to become defensive,
Mm-hmm.
because I felt like he does not understand. I have a small baby, I have all these things going on, I need time to tend to the baby, I can't go on with school, So it became a rough patch for both of us, and even for the baby, because when you're not, as a mom, when you're not okay, your baby will not get the best of you. So it became quite tense. The environment was quite tense for all of us. Shortly after I conceived my second baby.
Oh.
Yeah, I was pregnant again with my second. So at this point now, I started to realize, like, this is not who I am. This is not the kind of life I want. Yes, I want a family so bad. I want my family to be okay. I want my husband to be happy. I want my children to be happy. I want to be there for my children, just to give them 100%. So I became a very unfulfilled person.
Yes.
And I felt like I have lost, like, a sense of purpose, a sense of, and then as a stay-at-home mom, people have this, society views stay-at-home moms as very lazy people, people who are not intelligent. Like, most of the times, the only thing they do is just tending to babies, So that kind of pressure, because you would get pressure from your friends, from your neighbors, like, people will make comments.
Yeah.
You're so lazy, you're comfortable at home, you're not smart enough, So such things started getting into me slowly by slowly. And then before I knew it, I had slipped into depression. And then my second baby is here.
Wow.
She was a poor feeder. My second baby just had issues feeding. And then it was now a whole new level of depression and dysfunction. Before I know it, my relationship with my husband is we're like on two different pages, parallel lines that are not meeting, because I felt like I need to defend myself every other time. I knew that there's something that is missing, and that is, I need to go back to the person who I used to be, the dreams that I had. I needed to, like, reconnect with them again, so that I can get to my core,
Yes.
So that I can be the person who, like, God created me to be. So I felt like I was failing. So anytime my husband would point out something, I would come up in defense. I'd be like, no, you're just criticizing me. So remember, I'm feeling insufficient.
Yeah.
So when someone tries to say something, maybe corrects me, or I would get very defensive, because in a way I felt like they're rubber stamping already the feelings that I have. So it got to a point where I just had to walk out of my marriage. Yeah, I did walk out of my marriage. So I walked out on my husband.
You went back home?
Yes.
With your two babies?
Yes, with my two babies.
What did mom say? What did mom say?
Wow. It was a very tough time for my mom. It was a tough time for me too. But I thank God, because I found support, I found solace in my mom.
Yeah.
And my family, most of the times you don't really expect to get that, because it's msiba wa kujitakia in some way. But my mom was very encouraging towards it. And my brother also, they gave me a lot of moral support, a lot of emotional support.
Okay.
Because sometimes you really need to be away from, you need to get to a point where you're by yourself and you can sit down and you can think straight. And if there's one thing I have learned, is that sometimes God needs to get you to that place where this, what you had founded your identity on.
Yeah.
Because for me, I was like, I am a husband, I am a wife, I'm intelligent, I have kids. For the African woman, you have a husband, you have children, especially children. That is something to really be proud of, and this is something I really wanted. So I felt like God just took me to that place where now I am at zero. Literally, I am at zero. Everything that I had pegged my identity on
came crashing,
had now been shaken.
Wow.
So I now had to sit down and connect with myself through connecting with God, so that I can find out another like sense of purpose. You know, because God has more for you than just being a mom, just being a wife. Those are very important roles, but there's another calling that God had made me to pursue. Okay. So these are things that I came to discover after I met my mentor, the Audacity mentor. So I remember I took the class twice. First time I took the class.
Before you talk about the class,
yes.
How long after you got married did you walk out? How long had it been?
This was the third year. It was the third year.
Year number 3. What were your husband's thoughts? How did he react to you moving back home? What did his side of the family have to say?
Wow. My husband it was a shocker for him, because I didn't come up and I'm like, I'm leaving. So I just told him I'm going to see my mom.
Oh.
Yeah, and then when I went, that's when I said, like, I'm not coming back. And he was, he really didn't understand.
Yeah.
What have I done wrong for you to decide that
you're not coming back? Yeah.
And I did not also have like a clear answer, because I remember sitting down with my mom and she was asking me what really happened. And I couldn't give a clear answer. So I'm just here, there, the other day, but in the real sense of the word is because I felt like I am insufficient.
Yes.
You feel so insufficient that you don't deserve to be with another human being,
Wow.
So so yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about
which is something that I came to discover later.
Okay, shortly we'll talk about this discovery, what you had to do and how that transformed your life. This morning we're hanging out with Wanjiru Nderito. She's sharing her story with us. It's all about second chances. There's something so profound she said there. You get to a place where you don't feel like you're even good enough to be with other people. You feel like you are worthless. You feel like there's this internal battle that's going on the inside of you, and sometimes even those around you don't have an idea. Maybe that's you this morning. I hope that her story will inspire you, because this story has a good ending. If you have any questions for her today, 20316 SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. So Wanjiru, back to you. You talked about a mentor and going through a process. How did you connect with this mentor?
So I actually watched her interview on TV. She was talking about redesigning her life after 40.
Yeah.
But I felt like I connect with her because I got to a point where I'm asking myself, what am I doing with my life? Other than being a mom, other than being a wife, is there anything more for me other than just a mom? So I looked her up on Facebook, and that's how we got to connect. So I started classes. I remember the first time I met her, she asked me to tell her about myself.
Yes.
Who I was before being a mom, before being a wife. When you become a wife, when you become a mom, your identity changes. It's pegged on other human beings. But this time round, I think for the first time in such a long time after being a wife and a mom, someone actually wanted to know who Wanjiru is besides Mama Shiko, besides Mrs. So she asked me what my dreams, my aspirations were before everything, long before even I got to campus, what I wanted to be. And I remember when I shared with her, it was like one of the best moments in my life, let me put it that way.
Wow.
Because once you become a mom, and you're a stay-at-home mom, my husband is away at work, you find that even just having conversations with another adult become, sometimes you just long for that. You just long for someone who will see you as Wanjiru and not Mama so and so, not Mrs. Like you can have conversations about every other thing. Talk about the economy, talk about business,
Mm-hmm.
and let's not talk about baby feeding and changing diapers and
Yeah.
just so that was something that I really, really made me to just want to do more of the classes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what led me to this journey of pursuing myself through God, because part of the things that we studied in class is your core.
Yeah.
Like, how do you connect with your core, and for you to connect with your core, you have to connect with your source.
Yeah.
And for us, our source is God.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows our product more than the manufacturer. It is God who made you. So God knows more about you than anybody else knows. So I had to now go back to God. I had to now connect with God so that God can lead me, can show me who exactly I am. Aside from this image I had made for myself, there's what I thought I was, and there's who I really am, who God made me to be. So that journey, pursuing myself, pursuing God, it is what made me to change my perception about myself. Number one, I realized that my worth is not pegged on how good a mom, how good a wife I am, but my value is in who God says I am.
Yeah.
God values you, God loves you despite anything that you have done or whoever you think you are. You just get to a point where you tear down all those walls. You come up in a clean slate,
Yeah.
So now you're writing your story differently. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, Wanjiru, as you're going through these classes and these discoveries, were you communicating with your husband? Ama ilikuwa nil by mouth?
No, we used to communicate.
Okay.
Remember, I am not even certain. I am not very sure the things that actually made me to walk out in the first place, because we are both imperfect.
Yeah.
But it is because of my own how do I put it? The unfulfillment. I was very unfulfilled, and when you're unfulfilled and you're defensive about it, you feel like everybody else has a responsibility of making you happy, but yourself.
Yes.
You don't realize you also have a duty to yourself to make yourself happy, because at the end of the day, he can't come and be happy on my behalf.
Very true.
He can't fulfill me. That fulfillment has to come from God, has to come from me, And that is something my parents also wouldn't, however much they wanted to, they wouldn't have given me. So yeah, we were in contact because he's very present in his children's life. So he was, and all this time he kept asking, what happened? When do you think you're going to come back? For some reason he was very hopeful.
Yes.
That we're going to get back together again. But I still had that resentment. I still had some kind of resentment, but it was mostly because of myself. I'm resenting myself. I'm resenting the kind of person I have become.
Yeah.
So instead of facing myself, I was projecting it on other people. Yeah.
Okay. So when you're going through these classes, what kind of changes do you begin to make in your life?
It had to, first of all, start with changing my mindset.
Okay.
Accepting who I am. Accepting that my value is not pegged on anybody. Just getting my identity from Christ now.
Okay.
See? And then now I started connecting with my passion, because we learned that in class, the things you like, those patterns in your life, the things that make you feel alive, they're not for granted. It is because your purpose is closely connected to these things. So I started to revisit my life, just thinking of the things that I used to do long before the wife-mom thing came along. The things I used to love, the things that make me feel alive. And for me, that is just business, marketing,
Yeah.
engaging with people
Yeah.
about brands. So that is where I actually realized that I am very passionate about. Okay, I knew I was passionate about marketing. I didn't know how to go about it. But now being in class helps me to fine tune that. And it also came as a confirmation, it felt like God is confirming to me that indeed this is what I made you to do.
Yeah.
And it has always been there. You're just building up on it slowly. So being in the mentorship class helped me to fine tune and to find that clarity.
Okay.
Because most of the times I started reading Miles Monroe when I was very young in high school. So I always had this this idea, most people think that God will come to you in a shaking voice and tell you your purpose is 1, 2, 3. So I always waited for this big day when God will finally talk to me and tell me, I created you to do this. And then now from that day now I'll start, but I came to realize that the journey to your purpose, it's more of a journey than just a destination. It's a journey that leads you to that destination. So I came to understand that the things that I have been liking, the things that make you happy, the things that make me feel alive, the things that I love to talk about, things that I will watch, things that I read about, all those things are interconnected and they make me who I am.
Okay.
So I got to a point where I stopped being apologetic. Because I used to be very apologetic. Oh my God, sorry, I love reading this. You feel like when you have a low self-esteem, you become a very apologetic person.
Yeah.
And you always want to please everybody around you because you don't want people to see your weaknesses, basically. So it got to a point where I accepted this is who I am. This is God made me. This is how God made me. And this is something that God is leading me through.
Okay.
So when it got to that point, definitely things started changing for me from the inside out now.
We'll talk about some of those changes, and also we'll talk about this shortly. I'm also wondering now, when you look back in retrospect, would you say that you entered into the phase of marriage without truly knowing who you are as a person, and you thought maybe marriage would complete you? We'll talk about that shortly. It's about 7:45. We're hanging out with Wanjiru Nderitu, talking to us about second chances through her journey. I've got a couple of messages coming in today. This one says, your guest is telling my exact story. I walked out of my 19 years of marriage with 5 children to search for God's purpose in my life. It's been 4 years and it's been the best years of my life. I've been in a love relationship with Jesus and grown from glory to glory. In their singleness, it's best to establish a closer relationship with Christ than to go after other people's spouses. I'm extremely thankful to God for this period. Jennifer, thank you for sharing that with us. Back to you, Wanjiru. As you look back, would you say you got married without really settling and discovering who you truly are, and maybe you are looking for identity in marriage? You talked about marriage and children being something you really, really desired.
I would definitely say that. When you're not really rooted to who you really are, and that is your identity with God, you tend to look for anything that will come your way that can give you a sense of identity. So yeah, I agree with that to some extent.
Okay.
Yes.
So these changes are happening. This new outlook to life is happening. Changes are happening on the inside. What happens after that?
So I become a better mom to my children. I start now pitching for jobs.
Okay.
So my brother really pushed me to get out of the house because I was very, when you're in such a situation, you can easily slip into depression, and now the self-pity starts now. And I remember my brother, he just came up to me and he said, if it's marketing you want to do, we're going to start sending out proposals. And I remember he really supported me towards approaching a relative who was also very supportive of me. And that is how I got my first marketing job. After now I had separated from my husband. So working 8 to 5, waking up very early. By 5, you're on the road, getting back home at 9. It took me away from my children for some time because, you know, you're leaving very early, they're asleep. By the time you're coming back, they are almost asleep if they're not yet asleep. So I had very little time with them, though at least during the weekends we would try and bond. And then during this time now, I am still rediscovering myself. I am facing myself now head on. You see, I now have the courage to accept that, yes, there is mistakes that I made and how I can make them right. So we get into, now I realize that I had put so much pressure on my husband because ideally the things I expected to get from him are things that you can only get from God. And at times we really do that as spouses. You put your husband or your significant other on a pedestal and you want them to do things for you. You expect them to behave. You put expectations that are unrealistic and humanly impossible for them to fulfill on the other person. So it became clear to me that I was actually missing out on a very good person. Like, I'm missing out on someone. Remember, this is like my first love. Your actual. So I am missing out on this awesome person because I had put too much pressure, too much expectations that he can't, however much he wanted to, he can't. So at this point now, I relax. I start communicating with my husband. We agree now we to get things moving forward, to patch things up. So we start going for marital counseling. Yeah, and eventually I went back to my husband.
Wow.
And yeah.
So how long was the period when you are away from your husband?
2 years.
2 years. Wow.
Yeah. So we had separated for 2 years.
And he didn't give up on you. He never decided to look for somebody else. He was just hopeful and believing you will come back.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good man there.
Yeah, and I'm really grateful because for me it was also a confirmation from God that our unity is more than just that. There's a purpose that God wants us to fulfill together.
Yeah.
And then so now even my perspective towards marriage now, it had to change, you know, and it became to a point whereby now as I submit to my husband, I am not doing it because he's a good man, or I am doing it because I am in obedience to God's word.
Yeah.
Because if I do it on condition of how he behaves towards me, then really it becomes very hard because, you know, human beings you'll have friction most of the time.
Very true.
So you realize that God did not tell you to submit because your husband is good. Though I am not encouraging people who are living in domestic toxic relationships to stay. But your submission as a woman to your husband, it's in obedience to God's word. Yes. So my perspective towards marriage changed. My perspective towards my children, like the mothering thing, I now appreciate that God gave me my kids as a custodian. You know, they are not mine forever. He wants me to nurture them into their purpose, and then I'll release them at some point to go and, you know, serve their purpose. So I have really come to appreciate that in my life, the people that God has put in my life is just in order to fulfill his purpose. And it's not for the selfish, you know, previously, you know, it's out of selfish, my own, you know, I am a mom. You kind of feel like, you know, you boast about it. You feel like these are my property, my children, my husband. But when you realize that God has put you in that position so that you can nurture, you are just a custodian.
Wow.
You are a custodian. So it's basically a partnership between you and God to help you fulfill your purpose as you help your children, your husband to fulfill their purpose also.
Finally, before we finish up, when you look back what can you say has changed about your marriage? Because I'm sure you didn't go back the same woman, and you didn't find the same man, because I'm sure the 2 years apart also affected him in one way or the other. So what are the differences you can say both of you have observed in your marriage?
First of all, it's the change in attitude. For myself, I no longer look to him. He is not like a demigod, if I may put it that way. Because I had come to a place where I had idolized my children and you know, the wifely, the mother thing. I had idolized it. So it has come to a point where I understand this is a partnership between me and God. So I find myself calling on to God for help. You know, God, help me to submit, help me to be a good mother. It is not perfect, but I can say it is, we're heading in the right direction.
Great.
Communication has also changed, because there before, like I'm telling you, I was very defensive, you know. Any criticism was bad and it would make me like hit the roof, you know. So now the communication has changed. I am now open. I know that I am not perfect.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand when he comes up to me and he points out this, you're doing this, that is not right. We try to find a balance, like the compromise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What about your career? Where are you now with your career?
I'm in the process of launching my marketing agency.
Wow.
So yeah, I have started. I am very passionate about small businesses, about Kenyan brands. So I am really excited about being able to just put Kenyan brands out there. I feel like we really need more of Safaricom's, but you know, there's so many businesses with potential that are not able to do the marketing and just getting the brands out there, getting the customers. So yeah, that is what I'm passionate about, and that is, I'm in the process of setting up a marketing agency.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we are out of time, but finally, what's your husband's name? You haven't told us his name.
He's called Kennedy.
Kennedy. Ah.
Yes.
Mwambie Kennedy tumemsalimia sana. Mwambie he is a good man. We need more good men like him out here.
Yeah, he's a wonderful man. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Wanjiru, for spending time with us. Somebody here says, thank you so much. This testimony is for me. God bless you guys for airing it. So I can guarantee you there's some people you have inspired this morning. Another one says, this has been a great blessing too, and an eye-opener for me. Thank you for your testimony. So somebody has been blessed and touched by what you've shared. Wow, Asante sana.
That's good. Asante sana, James.
Well,
thanks for having me.
Awesome. We are out of time for today. Thank you so much for being a part of Motivation Monday. Indeed, God is a God of second chances. I told you this story has a good ending. We thank the Lord for that. Enjoy your, we said it's called what? Utamaduni Day. Enjoy your Utamaduni Day holiday. God willing, we'll connect again tomorrow on Jam 360.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.